Hi, welcome to Modern Mystics. My name is Sarah. Today I'm going to be showing you about kind of the astrological correspondences to the first 22 cards of the tarot, which are called the Major Arcana. The other cards of the tarot, sort of the ones with the wands, the pentacles, the cups, the swords, those are the Minor Arcana. Those are the ones that correspond kind of to more everyday life. These are the ones that are going to correspond to bigger areas of life, like overarching big themes for you. And so it's easier when you're doing a tarot reading to be kind of looking for the astrological times that things will happen. So say like Aquarius season or during a significant Uranus transit. That's kind of what you will see whenever you're doing tarot card readings and you're thinking about the astrological connections to them. It can make it easier than being like, when is this person going to show up, and expecting to see June. It's better to kind of look at it through the lens of the zodiac, because that's kind of what the tarot corresponds to. It's more in line with the zodiac. So if you're looking for when is it going to happen, it's not necessarily going to say 2 years. It might say, you might get the Strength card, and then that means Leo season. Or it might mean a significant Leo person is going to enter your life when this happens. So, let's get started. The very first one is the Fool. This is card 0. There are 22 cards, but they are numbered up to 21, because we're starting with 0. And this one corresponds to Uranus and the air element. It doesn't necessarily correspond to any sign in particular, but Aquarius is one of the signs that it might be. This could also be Gemini or Libra, but it's more than likely going to be Uranus or a significant Uranus transit or a significant Aquarius season. The Magician. So the Magician corresponds to Mercury, corresponds to air signs in general, but you're going to be looking more towards Gemini for that one. So this is sort of things happening quickly, or it could be things happening during Virgo season or during Gemini season. It could be another air season, but more likely you're going to look for Gemini, or someone with significant Mercury placements, or a significant Mercury transit. So High Priestess. High Priestess is the second card. She corresponds to the moon and the water element. So this could happen during Cancer season. Cancer rules, or the moon rules Cancer, and it could be somebody with strong Cancer placements, strong moon placements, or it could be likely not a strong moon transit for you, but probably a full moon or a new moon. And if it's in Cancer season or an upcoming water sign season, Scorpio or Pisces, that's likely what you're looking for. The Empress. The Empress is ruled by Taurus. Not necessarily Taurus, could be Libra, but it's Earth and Venus, so you're going to think of Taurus right away. Most likely it corresponds to Taurus season, could be Libra season, could be a significant Venus transit, or it could be someone with strong Venus placements, or a Libra, or a Taurus. Most likely Taurus. Alright. The Emperor. The Emperor is the first one that actually corresponds to a sign. This one corresponds to Aries, but you're also going to be looking for significant Mars transits or a significant Martian person, someone with strong Mars placements, or an Aries. It's not likely going to be a Scorpio with this one, because Mars is not necessarily the focus. It's more Aries is the focus. Excuse me, my nose started dripping. Allergies are not good right now. Alright. Hierophant. Hierophant corresponds to Taurus. It's another one that corresponds to a sign. The rest of these are kind of, there's going to be a couple little breaks, but as you go through from Emperor down onto, what's the last one? Down until Moon, they're pretty much all going to be in the order that the zodiac is actually in. So this one corresponds to Earth signs, but it's likely going to be Taurus. Strong Taurus placement or during Taurus season. or during a significant Venus transit. The Lovers. The Lovers you would think would correspond to Venus maybe, but it doesn't. It corresponds to Gemini, and that's because of the twins, the two people. And Gemini didn't used to be the twins. Gemini used to be the Lovers. So I don't know exactly when that got changed, but I do know that historically it used to be Lovers back in the day. So it's two people. It's likely that this would mean two people or someone with significant Gemini placements, or maybe significant Mercury placements, but I would think more Gemini. We're leaning more Gemini than Virgo. And it's an air card, so think about the air seasons upcoming in your life. The other air seasons are Libra and Aquarius. I would think that card would correspond more to Libra than Aquarius. The Chariot. The Chariot is another one that you're kind of like, well, I mean, shouldn't that be Mercury? Because Mercury's the messenger. It's also kind of the moon, and the moon moves very quickly. The moon is the fastest moving luminary. It's not a planet, but it's the fastest moving, not planet, but it's a luminary on the zodiac. So the Chariot is the fastest moving card. This says things are going to move fast, things are going to change fast, you're going to move forward quickly. So it's probably either a Cancer person, a person with a significant moon sign, even somebody with like moon conjunct Mercury would be, I would think, most symbolic of the Chariot. Or someone with a Mercury ruled moon. But also just a significant moon transit, like full moon or new moon, that could correspond to the Chariot if you're looking at timing. Alright. So now we're going to go to Strength. Strength is kind of the most obvious one, I would think. It goes to Leo. You can tell by the enormous lion on it. So it's going to correspond to fire signs as well. Leo it's going to be someone with strong Leo placements, or a Leo season, or a fire season, but I feel like it's most likely going to be, like, this is one of the strongest cards of, like, this is what it is. It's Leo. It could be also someone with a really strong sun. Like, if the sun is the strongest planet in their chart, it could be them. And it could be your solar return. It could be, like, when you see this one and you think it's not going to be Leo season, could be your solar return, so your birthday. Alright. So now we move on to the Hermit. Hermit is representative of Mercury as well. It's the Virgo card. So I would say probably Virgo season. You could even possibly make the case for Pisces. Pisces is the sister sign to Virgo, and Pisces is kind of the old man of the zodiac. So I do think you can make the case for Pisces, but in the sort of order that they're going in, this is the Virgo card. So you would look for Virgo season, look for Mercury, could be Pisces. Also, anyone with significant Mercury placements who keeps to themselves a little bit more. I would say that this doesn't necessarily correspond to somebody who you know has a lot of Mercury placements, but they're kind of very all over the place and extroverted. That's not going to be them, likely. Alright. So now we've got Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune it's sort of breaking, like I said, a couple of these break the order. This one is one of the ones breaking the order, because it corresponds to the fire element and it corresponds to Jupiter, but it also corresponds to all 4 fixed signs. So you're kind of going to be looking, either if you're looking for a person, this is probably someone with a lot of fixed sign energy, a lot of fixed sign placements, or you're looking for kind of the next fixed sign season that you're entering into. So that would be Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius. And anyone with, I would say, a big group of those and a strong Jupiter. So someone with some Leo placements, some Scorpio placements, and a very strong Jupiter. That's kind of maybe the person that you're looking for. It's also kind of indicative of fate, like a fated meeting. So it could be someone that you are fated to meet. Alright. So we're going to move on to Justice. Justice is the Libra card, which makes sense. It's the scales. So it's going to correspond to Venus, and it's going to correspond to Libra season. It could also be Taurus season, but again, this is the one that goes with Libra more. So someone with strong Libra placements or strong Venus placements will go with Justice. Then we've got the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man is another one that's kind of breaking the tradition of we're going like in order of the zodiac. This one doesn't correspond to any sign. It does correspond to Neptune, and it corresponds to water signs. This is really it's similar to the Fool, but it's not exactly like the Fool, where the Fool is kind of like wandering around. The Hanged Man isn't going anywhere. He's just waiting. He's kind of like waiting, and he might be waiting because he's forced to wait, or he might be waiting because he doesn't know what to do. But it's kind of just, it's a waiting card. And so, could be Pisces, any strong Neptune placements, anybody that kind of like doesn't have a lot of forward momentum, or like a time in your life that isn't having a lot of forward momentum, or a significant Neptune transit, this could be, that might be what it means. Next we've got Death. Death is kind of picking up where Justice left off, and so now we're into Scorpio. Scorpio, you're going to want to look for significant Mars or Pluto transits, specifically more Pluto, I would say, or someone who is a heavily Plutonian person, heavily Scorpio person. Could be Mars as well, but it's more of the kind of reservedness of Scorpio that you're looking for, and the ability to sort of start over. The people that can start over, and the people that can kind of like debut a new personality or a new outfit or a new like look without telling anyone beforehand. They just kind of showed up and surprised you, that the whole new them, and they didn't tell anybody. So that's kind of the person you might be looking for. Or again, Scorpio season. So Temperance is the next one. This one corresponds to Sagittarius, and so this one's going to go with Sagittarius season. It's going to go with any significant Jupiter transits. It's going to go with anybody that you know that is a strongly Jupiterian person, or someone with heavy Sagittarius placements. Could be someone with strong Pisces placements, since Jupiter also rules Pisces, but this definitely corresponds more to Sagittarius. Now we've moved on to the Devil. The Devil is, again, we're just going to the next sign of the zodiac. We're going to Capricorn. Anyone with strong Saturn placements, any strong Saturn transit, any Capricorn season that looks very significant, that's where this is going to point you. And also just anybody in your life who might kind of tempt you down the bad path, or not necessarily the bad path, but maybe the not exactly the right way path. Like anybody who kind of like encourages you to slack off or do something that you know might not be that good for you. It's not necessarily bad, it's more just kind of like not necessarily what you should be doing. Which might not sound like Capricorn. Capricorn is really hardworking. We think of that as like hardworking and structural, but there's also like a doing what everybody told you not to do of Capricorn, where they've got to stand on their own and do their own thing, and that's sometimes what the Devil's telling you to do. Do your own thing, or this might be a period where you're supposed to do your own thing a little bit more and not listen to what people are telling you, but don't let yourself go too far down that path. Or again, Capricorn season. That's what I would look for more. Significant Saturn transit. It's all about being tested with the Devil. So the Tower. The Tower, I think, is another one that doesn't really correspond to any sign. It's just fire. It's just a fire element, corresponds to Mars, and I would say it probably corresponds to Pluto, just in that it sort of makes you start over, makes you go back to where you were before you got to this high height. The sort of the bigger they are, the harder they fall, corresponds to the Tower, and so this could be a time where everything is kind of haywire. You might be getting a lot of significant transits during the Tower time, I would say. If you pull the Tower for timing, it might mean a fire sign, like you're going into a fire sign period, like Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, might be a significant Mars or Pluto transit, but more than likely it's just kind of something's coming. I really feel like this one could hit at any time. Like, you don't want to be like, oh, that's definitely going to be Aries season. The tower, when you're looking at timing, you might not want to go for that. But for people, it is going to be more than likely a strong Mars or Pluto influenced person. All right. Now we're moving on to the star. Now the star it goes to Aquarius. It's sort of, it'll show you Aquarius season, Uranus transits. It's an air card for sure, so it could be Gemini or Libra, but more than likely you're going to look at Aquarius season for this one. It's about astrology, it's about reaching for the stars, literally. So like if you're reaching for the stars and you're like, when am I going to get that new cool promotion? It might mean Aquarius season, or it might mean like a heavily Aquarius or Uranian person is coming to help you, or it could be that you kind of need to reach for the stars a little bit more. So the last one in the kind of zodiac progression is the star. The star corresponds to Pisces, it corresponds to Neptune, and so this could be a heavily Neptunian person, it could be a heavily Pisces person, it could be also someone with a strong moon. If you know anybody with like a strong moon-Neptune connection, and you might be like, well, why isn't it the moon? Why isn't it Cancer? You could also look at that one, but it's just not the meaning of the moon card. You're going to want to look more at the Chariot for that. The moon card, it could mean someone with a significant moon placement, but it more means somebody that is kind of intuitive, and they're not looking at what's real. They're kind of focusing on the more spiritual or fantastical side, and that's going to be the Pisces or Neptunian influence. And so, yeah, could be during Pisces season, could be also during like a significant full moon, I would say. This is the more, not chaotic side of the moon, whereas I would say like the High Priestess of the Chariot is the more organized side of the moon. This is kind of the more chaotic or nebulous side of the moon. Next we've got the sun, and the sun I also feel like really corresponds to fire. Just fire. Also Leo season, because Leo is ruled by the sun. But more than anything, it's probably just a strong sun. Like someone with a really strong sun, or like a significantly really good sun transit that you're having, or, just a good Leo season. Could be Aries or Sagittarius, but it's more likely going to be Leo season. And if it's a person, probably a Leo or somebody with a very significant sun, and this person is going to be not necessarily egotistical, but just more willing to look at how they can change a situation, and they may center themselves in the situation. Either way, that's the sun card. And then we move on to Judgment. Judgment is a card that corresponds to Pluto and fire. I would say it also corresponds to Saturn a little bit, just because Saturn is kind of the judge, but that's more of the devil placement. And that's sort of like testing you to see if you'll work hard or if you'll slack off. Judgment is just kind of like at the end of all. It's finally gonna get the karma of Pluto. So it really is like kind of a universal time, and this will be a time where like things are changing for everyone, maybe, not just you. And it could be, any fire sign time or a Scorpio time, but I do think you're going to look more at Aries and Scorpio since Pluto rules this one, and significant Pluto transits. So significant Pluto transits can last a long time since Pluto moves so slowly. So if you do pull this card in terms of timing, it is likely something that is maybe been a long time coming or been in the works for a long time, but hasn't necessarily come to fruition. And then finally we come to the world. And then the world is another one where you're kind of looking at all the fixed signs in addition to Saturn. Because it's just everything. Everything's encompassed by the world. But you are going to be looking more at fixed signs. And I would say Saturn in a fixed sign. This is also an Earth card. You know, it's the world, so it's Earth. But I do think that, like, any fixed sign, or Saturn in a fixed sign, more than I would say all the Earth signs, is going to be Taurus, stronger than any of the other ones, because Taurus also is the one that really corresponds to the Earth, and, you know, growing things in the ground, and creating new life, and the world is just like the culmination of all of that, all of everything working together in harmony, or not in harmony, it's just everything all together. So it's hard to deduce timing with this one. Honestly, if you get this one, you really should think it's going to take a long time before you get the thing that you're looking for. You're going to have to plod along and kind of be methodical. You can't expect to get the world card and then just immediately move into the situation that you were asking about. It's probably going to take more time, it's probably going to take more work, it's probably going to take a little bit of patience, and just understanding that things don't move that quickly. So at the end of it, I'm just going to give you kind of an example by pulling a couple cards together and then giving you an interpretation of what that time period could be. So I'm going to shuffle these, just kind of freeform, show you how to read these together. Alright, so what I've pulled is the Hanged Man and the Emperor. So these two together, you'll remember this one, Aries. Pretty specifically Aries. It's more than likely that it's going to be Mars, it's going to mean Aries. And then the Hanged Man is going to be Neptune, so this could easily mean Neptune in Aries. Neptune is in Pisces right now, so Neptune moves into Aries, I want to say in 2028? Not sure. I know we've got a good few years on it, but if you were asking about timing in a situation, this could easily mean Neptune, when Neptune moves into Aries. It also could mean, if you're looking at them as people, you're trying to see who this person is, it might be someone who has Neptune in Aries, or if you want to like flip it around, it could be someone that has Mars in a water sign. I'm going to do another one just so we can kind of get a grip on what it is that we need to be looking for when we're trying to do, when you're specifically thinking about the astrological signs in a tarot reading. Alright, so this time it's the Hermit and the World. So since the Hermit is Earth and Virgo, you can also say possibly Mercury, and then the World is going to be a fixed sign or Saturn. It might be easier to look at this one as Saturn and look at this one as Virgo, so you might wait until Saturn is in Virgo, or you might wait until Mercury is in a fixed sign. You also, if you're looking at it as a person, it might be someone with Mercury in a fixed sign, or it might be someone who has a lot of fixed signs and a significant Mercury, or someone that has Saturn in Virgo. I think I already said that. So that's essentially what you're looking for. You're going to want to just sort of combine these things and then see if it lines up with someone you know, see if it lines up with something that you have planned in the future that's coming up pretty soon, or just like that, like Neptune entering Aries. Could be Neptune entering Aries. We'll do one more. We'll do one more. Alright, so this one is the Hierophant and the Moon. So I pulled the Hierophant first and then the Moon. So Hierophant is going to be Taurus, and it's going to be Earth, and then the Moon is going to be, if you're looking at something like coming up very soon, you can use the Moon as the Moon. If you're looking at something kind of in the future, you can use it as Neptune. Because Neptune is not going to enter into Taurus for quite a while. It's going to be a very, very long time. So unless you're planning to wait like 20 to 30 years for this thing to happen, then it's most likely not going to be Neptune entering Taurus. So then you can turn around and say, well, when is the Moon going to be in Taurus? Or you can turn around and say, well, when is Venus going to enter Pisces? You see what I'm saying? You kind of look at the pieces that you're given and then put them together. That's all that divination really is. You're looking at the pieces that you've been given and you're putting them together in the order that makes sense to you intuitively and based off of what you've learned. So I think that's really all I've got to say about that. If there's interest in it, I would love to do something explaining this about the minor arcana. It's really it's not going to be as intense with the minor arcana. They kind of all, like, wands correspond to fire, cups correspond to water, swords correspond to air, and then pentacles correspond to earth. But you can get a little more specific if you want to, if you really delve into it, and if there is interest in that, I would love to do it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know. Let me know what you'd like to see in the future, and thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much.